Hi, imaginary audience that probably isn't actually here yet. It's Prince of Queens, and I'm joined today by Timo. How would you say your name? Hi,
Well, my real name is Väinö, but Timonaro is my
Prince of
nickname
Queens,
that I
and
use when I do stand-up
I'm joined
comedy.
today by. Oh, okay. How would you say your name? Wait, sorry. I had to close a window. I was getting feedback. So say your name again. Sorry.
Yeah, so my real name is Väinö, but I go by the name Timonaro when I teach pickup skills and do stand-up comedy.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we're talking today because I had a video. Which one was it? It was a few days ago, maybe about a week ago or so, where it was about the Aziz Ansari thing, and I made the point that which I still think is a good point, and I think you probably agree to a certain degree, that if Aziz Ansari wasn't a male feminist and he had some pickup skills, this whole thing never would have happened, because obviously the woman wasn't completely unwilling to have sex with him. He just didn't know how to actually have sex with her. Um, but I used Roosh V as an example of a pickup artist, and I represented pickup artists as if maybe they aren't completely ethical, and that maybe they do some things that are dishonest to get women into bed. Though I admitted that I don't really know anything about them. So you commented and you said that you'd like to clarify what a pickup artist actually is, and I said I would allow you the opportunity to do that because I don't really know. I've never talked to one. So yeah. Now I'm gonna mute myself, and maybe you could start to explain while I am eating, and I will occasionally be unmuting myself to say something. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So I don't disagree with the point. I actually totally agree with the point that it would have done him well to learn some of these skills. But I really disagree how you characterized pickup artistry. And what I would like to do here is try to kind of sell that it's a moral thing to learn, and perhaps even that most heterosexual males would really benefit from learning it. And I think the dynamics of dating might be a little different in the community, and maybe we can get interesting conversation back and forth about how it differs. But I think that I think that because I'm also like a men's rights activist, so this is really funny because like feminists always want to throw everybody bad in the same basket, so they always try to conflate pickup artists, MGTOWs, and men's rights activists. And I'm probably the only one who is pickup artist and men's rights activist. But
Yeah, I've
I
never
am
heard of
not
such a thing.
MGTOW, and I would actually really appreciate if I could make my argument for MGTOWs, so that why I think it might be, at least in some cases, very beneficial to have relationships with the opposite sex and maybe find a partner and maybe even start up a family. And I think the two things I wanna really explain and go through here is maybe I could go a little bit the history of pickup arts and what I mean by them and why they are beneficial and what type of skills and ideas are in the community. And maybe another thing is that I would like to kind of make the moral case for this. So I'm actually, I would consider myself a cultural Christian and a Darwinist, because I think that the evolution theory really shows that some of the lessons you see in Bible seem to be true, and in a lot of old myths, basically. And from there, I think I can make a moral argument why learning pickup arts and implementing those skills in your life is beneficial to basically survive and reproduce and get the best partner genes, your best partner considering genes when you have actually like skills to attract women. So should we start with a little bit about the history?
Yeah. That sounds good. I'm following you too. I'm just eating. So
Yeah. So I got interested in my early 20s. I'm now 32 in pickup arts, and basically my life was really a wreck. I've been, and I'm still am on and off affected by a depression, and that really makes me antisocial at times and stuff like that. And actually, like, I did the Big Five personality test, and I think that a lot of your personality actually comes from your genes. And I based this on the personality course that you can take for free that Jordan Peterson gives in his YouTube site. And what he teaches about the psychology of personality, it seems that, for example, the divide between conservative and liberal is mostly biological, and that's horrifying thought, that maybe we can't even have a discussion, at least when the Overton window is now being left is kind of misusing the Overton window in a way that they are kind of excluding very, very important conversation points about our liberal societies. For example, one example is, of course, race realism. But I believe that races are real, and I believe in evolution theory, but I don't believe that somehow means that I should hate Jews, for example. Like, I'm not alt-right at all. I'm cultural Christian. But so my personality comes into play in a way that if you take 100 person, there are 2 people in that 100 person who are less agreeable than me. So I'm like almost the most less agreeable person you can find. And then also I have very low empathy also. And I kind of have these personality stats that I really have to learn these skills, because they really didn't come naturally for me. And I'm saying this because what I happened to be experiencing in my life is that it was the 3rd date in a row where, in the same day that the date was supposed to happen with a girl, the girl just kind of sends me a text, doesn't even call me, and says something very like fishy, like that my father was just in an accident, I can't come to the date. And I can just like smell that it's not really that. That I'm doing this somehow wrong. So I started reading this book, which is called The Game, and it's an autobiography by this Neil Strauss. And he was this reporter on, I think, was it Rolling Stones magazine, actually? But basically a rock reporter that was able to get the backstage access to all the gigs and stuff, and saw a lot of very, very beautiful women hanging in the backstage. But he was like tall, but very thin and not muscular, and bold, and had very low self-esteem. And he just kind of didn't understand that why he had no success with the women, and he really wanted to learn it. So he went to the internet and found that there was this person called Mystery, and he was giving a course on pickup arts. And he kind of took the chance. It was a lot of money at that time, $500, I remember, and went to this stranger's course. And this Mystery fellow is very famous and infamous even. He was in a kind of like a fur jacket and black fingernails and like a crazy peacock outfit in the course. And he was like really embarrassed about it and really like, where have I come and stuff. But what the Mystery wanted to teach is basically like pop culture version of evolution theory. Because actually from evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology, you can really kind of, I know these are not like scientifically accurate ways of maybe represent these theories or whatever, but I come from I approach them from the idea that I want to teach them in a rude way to people so that they can use that ideas when they go to talk to people and socialize and talk to girls, and then they can just learn more about the science and whatever. But I just want to give a little bit idea what we are working with so that maybe they'll get interested in the science of it and maybe look into it and maybe even get some success in their life. So one of the ideas he said is that we are really evolved to live in a 200-person basically society. And there are a lot of reasons why he thinks that it's how many names we can remember easily, that we don't start forgetting the names on the other.
Yeah, it's something like 300 people that people can possibly remember at any given time.
Yeah. And one interesting point is approach anxiety, because it was something I'd already noticed myself that if I went to talk to a very, very beautiful, like a model-looking girl, I got really anxious. And I can't explain why I got really anxious, and I didn't dare to go to talk to her. And if I somehow got to talk to her, then I really was so terrified of the situation that I didn't seem confident and I blew the chance up. So this is very interesting because I think that because I read a lot and I study a lot of interesting things and I do stand-up comedy and I write and I do debates and all this kind of stuff that make me, I think, interesting personality. So I have a lot to actually give to someone I talk. I can tell them stories. I can teach them stuff. I can show them. At that time, I did a lot of close-up magic tricks and stuff like that. And I have kind of a lot of value to give in a social situation. And possibly, and actually, many times I found out that those really beautiful young girls, they were kind of vacuous. They really relied on their beauty, and they didn't really have those social skills, or many times even kind of the interest to apply any social skills, because they knew that they could just smile and get away with almost anything.
Mm-hmm. And I've known a lot of girls like that.
Yeah.
So but when I was younger, especially, I was actually quite good looking, and I was gay, and I was kind of witty and pretty fashionable, and I lived in New York City. So when I would go out, a lot of the really good looking girls would want to go out with me. And I think the reason why is because I was a good gay sidekick, and if they brought other girls out with them, the other girls would be competition. So I was the perfect person to go out to bars and nightclubs with.
Yeah. So now we get to this fundamental, I believe that men and women are equal, but we get to this fundamental kind of, let's say, paradox that the young girl has inherent value in a social situation if she's beautiful, and maybe even quite good-looking guy doesn't have that value, that they will really have to bring something else. It might be their personality. It might be you can have a good story. You can be one thing that you can always bring value to conversation is really listen to the other person, because actually not a lot of people do that. If you think about it, a lot of people in social settings, they just kind of wait for their turn to say what they want to say, and then whatever you say, they pretend to listen and nod, but they are not hearing it. They're just waiting when it's again their turn to say something.
Yeah.
And this idea of giving value in a social situation is one big idea in pickup artist culture. Okay, but let's continue with the history story. So he learned these tricks and stuff, and at that time, before the game, before his, let's say, Neil Strauss type of pickup artistry, there was this speed seduction community. And that is the weirdest shit you've ever heard of. Because they took the ideas from hypnosis and they applied that to stories. So they were kind of like these short, emotionally driven stories that were designed to hypnotize the woman and then, in some dark corner, get them to kiss the person. Kind of like the idea was even steal value from the girl because they really, at that time, the men who did it, they didn't really see any value on themselves, and it came from a really low place at the start. They really, I think that the fundamental idea they had is that they have to trick the girl, the beautiful girl, to kiss them because they have nothing to give them. And this was later developed, of course, this idea, but like it's the weirdest thing.
So I want to clarify just for the audience, because there is actually 10 people watching. What you're saying is that there is an actual historical basis, the stereotype about pickup artists that people still assume. There was an actual historical basis for what people still assume that it is. Like it was sort of this weird hypnotizing, having to almost kind of trick women into being with them because they didn't feel that they had anything else to offer. But it's evolved since then.
Yeah, definitely. And I would even say that the Neil Strauss level that we are talking about, the next level from this first idea, was also something that society viewed as that. And I would tend to agree at least to some bit, because the next idea after this hypnosis idea that Neil Strauss and Mystery come up with is to learn these kind of social routines, these social games. There was the famous is the cube, for example, and it's just kind of like this social game. You ask questions about a girl and then you kind of use like a cold reading, this thing that those people who make predictions from cards use also to kind of like try to make you think that they can read you, but they are actually saying just kind of overgeneralities.
Like a tarot psychic.
Yeah. So that type of story that use the tarot type of people reading skills, and just to be like kind of funny and
wait. I think I want to clarify. I think I know what you mean. One of the things that tarot readers and there's actually, this is a skill of any sort of self-help people. Actually, they largely, not any, but a large percentage of things that are sold as psychic, being a psychic or self-help even, is actually a level of con artistry, and they are picking up on what the person wants to hear and then telling them more about what they want to hear. And so if somebody says, oh, I'm worried about my relationship, then they say, "Oh yeah, we're in Jupiter right now, and Jupiter is a really crazy time for relationships. There's a lot of confusion, or so, and then the person says a little bit more, and then they can add even more off of that." Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, cold reading. And I think the famous study that was done in university was something that there were two groups of students, and one were given just their year of birth or maybe horoscope, and other group was given date and year when they were born, and then they were both given this kind of overgeneralized story that you are open and you like to socialize, but sometimes that draws energy out of you and you get very scared. This kind of weird story, and they were kind of having to rate that how well this applies to them, but they didn't know that everyone.
All of them said it applied to them.
Well, those that they gave more information about themselves first said it applied more, but the strange thing really was that everyone said it applied quite well. And then people started to kind of use these kind of certain sentences and certain kind of ideas. For example, one cold reading idea is that people tend to agree with positive things about them. Like if I say that you are positive, then you tend to agree more than if I say you are a negative, for example. But these are interesting ideas in a context. But so the first the pickup artist Neil Strauss and Mystery came up with it was a lot of these kind of social games and kind of tricks and, for example, weird openers like, do women or men lie more? or then, for example, one interesting thing is this kind of a reframing of an event. For example, if you are in a crowded bar and a really beautiful woman passes upon you a little bit too closely that they actually touch you, then you can just like pretend to be really taken back and say that, did you just touch my butt? And kind of like turn the tables around on her, because she's probably been in a situation where she's been the one who's being groped or whatever. But then you like kind of pretend that you are being groped and that you are really like offended about it. And if the person kind of gets into the emotions, and that it can be really funny situation just to kind of get people to talk to, and then you can just say, yeah, I was kidding, and then start a normal conversation. It can be a lot more effective conversation starter than, for example, if you just that, hey, you look beautiful or something, and then the beautiful girl just continues to click on their phone and doesn't even kind of give you the acknowledgement. And there were a lot of these kind of ideas, but I think still here the idea was a lot that men have a lower value to beautiful women, and that beautiful women have a higher value. And basically the idea that you need to kind of knock your target down, because these skills can, of course, women can also apply them to pick up men. But if we are thinking about men pickup artists, then if you want the person to like you, then you need to knock them down by lowering their status so that they'll create attraction to you. And one idea is negging, that you can kind of say something like, your mother must be an angel because it seems that your face has fallen from the sky, or something like that. So like this kind of offhanded, almost compliment but also negative thing that you would normally never say to a girl, at least a beautiful girl. They'll never hear it. And then they think that, okay, this guy might be like very confident or whatever, because they can actually like say this, like no one ever says this to a random person or whatever. And I think this can be a learning stone before you like kind of cultivate your own personality and cultivate your own value. And you can do them in a fun way. They don't need to be in a negative way. You can use them as basically like a party tricks, and then you can just apologize or say that sorry and continue on with the conversation, or just that play it as a joke or whatever. But I think that I would like to bring out the idea that there is this theory about people that are given numbers from 5 to 10, and they are kind of how skillful they are in social dynamics. And from 5 to 10 to basically the idea is also that people who are less skilled in social skills than 5, they wouldn't maybe try to interact with you that much in a social setting that you really have to pay attention to them. Because there's always, for example, the situation of someone in the group cock blocking you if you go to talk to their friend or whatever. So if they are lower than 5, then they probably won't cock block, they'll leave you alone. But let's start with the 5. So 5 is really a borderline case, but a person who is social skills 6, I think that they think that if someone is higher social status, you have to lower them down to bring yourself up. And this is idea that many beautiful girls might tell you that a lot of guys come to talk to them and they are like that, oh, I own this very expensive watch and I do this very interesting job, or I get this much money, or I own this car, because they kind of think that they have to kind of inflate their own self-being or kind of ego in this kind of outward way, because they don't really see value in themselves. And also that they think that they need to lower the status of others in some places to get themselves an edge. This might be, for example, you are in a mixed group of a lot of people and you are trying to hit on a girl, and then someone comes to white knight there. So they don't even see that they themselves have possibility with the girl, but they see that you actually have some sparks and some kind of chances there, and you have a good back and forth and good conversation, but they just want to rule in it, and they just pretend that they are helping the girl because they just are jealous about it. They want to lower you down. And
I got laid one time on accident because I was like with this guy who like I think I was with him and a friend of his at a bar, and I wasn't thinking that we were on any sort of date at all. I just wanted to go out to gay bars, and this was in San Francisco, where if you go to a gay bar, it's going to be over 95% male. So if you're with somebody, you're not necessarily with them. You're just, but you could maybe hook up with them. It's just, it's all dudes. Yeah. So I was with him and he was pretty cute, but I wasn't thinking about it. And this older guy was like so he was in his early 20s. And then this guy that was well into his late 30s and not very attractive and kind of weird, was trying to hit on him, like really kind of, I wouldn't say super aggressively, but it was really awkward. And so I came up and I don't want to say I chased the guy away because I wasn't rude or anything, but the guy eventually left the guy alone, and I guess I wasn't rude exactly, but I was kind of dismissive of him. Like I was like, I made it clear that no one was laughing at his jokes, like, and it was like, yeah, I don't know if you should try. And then as soon as that guy left, then the younger guy started hitting on me. Like it was like he was happy that I had sort of chased the guy away, even though I didn't try to chase him away, and I wasn't trying to hit on him. But as soon as I had done that, then he started hitting on me, and I was like, "Oh, I mean, you're pretty cute. I might as well." So then I had sex with him.
Yeah. So that is like how I would read that situation is that you kind of showed dominance in the situation, even if it was accidental, and the guy was attracted to that.
Yeah. I would say that's a fair assessment of it. It was like I was more confident than the other guy, to the point where the other guy felt intimidated, and so he left. And then the other guy was turned on, but he was attracted to that, even though I didn't even give him any indication that I was doing it because I was attracted to him, which I think made him more attracted to me.
And if you have problems with someone who is like 6 in this kind of evaluation, then you basically said what you can do. You can just kind of exclude them from the group. For example, just make sure that no one laughs at their jokes or interacts with them, and they will just give up and leave. Okay, well, the next level 7, then they have a bigger idea about it, that they really understand this dynamic, but they still think that they need to lower others down to get themselves up. And I think how you disarm a 7 is actually that you give them an honest compliment. You just honestly say something nice and good to them, because they are in the end looking for that kind of value from others, and they will be your friend after you just kind of disarm them by being very nice to them. But I think I myself, I would say I'm between 8 and a 9. Of course, you are always trying to be the best you can. You are striving to be 10, but you can never be the Jesus or Buddha in this sense. But 8 is something that I understand that like you don't need to basically play these games like that. You don't need to lower anyone else. You can just build up the value in yourself. And I think nine is really like honed on their skills on these ideas and are even better on that. And I think 10 is just this utopistic idea that you can never achieve, but you can always go towards it. Because okay, it might be my like personality thing, but for me, social skills are something that if I don't hone them, then they devaluate. But then when I go out and talk to people, then they come back quickly. Sorry.
Okay. I will wait for him to come back. Cause
sorry, my phone started ringing. But
it's okay. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask that what you just said reminded me of what I was sort of wanting to ask anyway, which is the purpose for why this needs to have a label behind it, and why but I think that you are sort of answering it. It's like, because for you as an individual, you don't feel like you had those social skills naturally, but you would say that some people just naturally have those social skills, probably.
Yes, exactly. I think that you just need to be able to have this label so you can find this information and learn it if you want.
Okay.
And there is this thing that society seems to be very against this idea of kind of learning social skills. So it's okay if you are born with them, but if you are learning it, it's like dark arts and it's almost immediately manipulative and bad. Like I actually have some, we can go later, I have some sentences or ideas I picked up from your video, which I do disagree, so I can kind of hash them out then. But let's just continue with the story quickly. So, okay, so this Neil Strauss use this type of social games and this kind of ideas and a lot of peacocking so that you kind of put something crazy on. I have been in many times with them like fingernail paint on me or whatever, and that can really give you, if you are the right personality, it can really give you an edge, because then girls come to actually talk to you and they ask that why are you having fingernails painted on or whatever, and it kind of pre-selects the girl that are probably interested in you, because at least I feel that girls quite rarely in bars come to talk to me unless I have some peacock on that they want to ask that why are you having this really odd shirt or really odd hat or maybe fingernail painted or whatever, what's the deal here? And then I can just get into the conversation there, and usually they are already somewhat interested in my personality or me, because they are just using that as a very easy to see excuse to come to talk to me. But I really believe that my idea is that the individual should go to talk to the girls or guys they are interested in, because if I go to talk to beautiful people, then they can always reject me. That rejection can be really hard. I have to deal with it. The rejection is never easy, but then basically the whole world is open for possibilities for relationships or sex for me. But if I only talk to people that come to talk to me, then I can only have friends. I can only have relationships with people that were interested of me and not the other way around. So it's very limited pool in that way. If you just are waiting for someone else to come to talk to you, which I think partly because women are more agreeable, they tend to do in a bar, that they don't like to go to just to random people to talk to them that much.
Yeah, I've had gay male friends who so a gay online hookup or dating thing is much different than straight, obviously. Gay guys, it's largely pictures of guys with their shirts off and you can't even see their head, or you can easily find dick pics and that kind of thing, and often they're public. And I've known friends of mine who say that they literally never write guys. They only wait for other guys to write to them. And I thought that that was kind of strange, you know, like I was like, well, you're a guy though, right? You
Yeah, yeah.
know?
And so this Neil Strauss, he met with this person who was really odd, almost autistic at that time with social skills, but he was really wanting to learn these skills. So he was traveling around America to learn different gurus about these skills. And I think his real name is Clive Owen, but he used the nickname in the book Tyler Durden, which comes from the Fight Club.
Uh-huh.
And they had a really big fallout in the end. And that Tyler Durden actually kind of like stole the firm that Neil Strauss was working on and the idea, and then started teaching this to men and had a really, really big success. I would think that the Real Social Dynamics is the biggest firm that teaches pickup artistry in the world.
Huh.
They
Sorry, before you finish that, I just need to remind you, I forgot to tell you at the beginning that I'm only gonna be able to talk for another 12 minutes or so because I have another stream to be on that I had scheduled. So I just wanted to mention that. So there's actual firms of pickup artists.
Yeah. And for example, the Real Social Dynamics, it's so big that they actually travel around the world to give men free lectures. And then if you like it, then you can take a course for 2,000 euros or whatever for a weekend or a week or whatever. And as far as I've read, I've done the free tours. I've done those free events many times. I've not taken any that kind of paid course. I've watched a lot of video material and read a lot of books about it, but I haven't taken like this kind of live course.
Huh.
But I from the free stuff I've gotten from them, I would tend to think that they can be helpful. Like, I think the biggest problem with my clientele is that they are maybe so socially scared or something that they don't actually like. If I like, this is the only thing that you give homework, go talk to that girl or whatever, and people just those who want my help, they don't do that. They don't do the minimal effort to actually get good at this. Even though I tell them the most simple linear way to do it, then they just are too afraid or something and they don't do it. And most of the work is just trying to get them motivated enough to go to talk to people. Because the culture is getting, because of feminism, more hostile against men. So it's very important to have some of these skills to even be able to read the other person so that you don't end up in a situation that this Azari person was in, because it seems that he like really misread the girl, and like maybe it's easy to misread a girl if they are just naked giving you blowjobs in your house, that maybe they are interested in sex. So like it's hard to totally blame him, but he was too forceful on it and the girl get very scared, and it was a train wreck. But yeah, it would be really nice to continue with this, but I think I think I want to use the last time we have here to do the moral case for this. So
okay,
I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson, and
yeah, I'm a fan of his too.
Yeah, so I recently watched a stream where he was this Cathy Channel 4 interview. He was going through that interview and giving his thoughts about what went wrong or what worked or whatever. But also the interviewer was really good because he had concised Jordan Peterson's philosophy on 5 points. And I would like to quickly address 3 of them because I think they have pickup artistry is kind of something that, well, you'll see. So the first one is the centrality of the archetypical hero's myth. And 2, the central role of logos during the hero's narrative. And 3, making the right sacrifices, bargaining with the future. 4, orienting yourself towards the highest possible good you can conceive. 5, minimize your persona, cultivate your essence, and live its closest possible proximity. So let's start with the 5. Minimize your persona, cultivate your essence, and live its in your closest proximity. So if we come from this evolutionary biology idea that organisms' idea, what they want to do is survive and reproduce. So learning any skills that help you reproduce with a high quality mate should obviously be moral good for the individual, because that's kind of what they want to do in their life. Of course, you don't have to do it, but it's kind of what evolutionary you are designed to do. And this idea of cultivating your essence and minimize your persona is something you can really easily get to when talking to girls, because they will give you the harshest critique on your personality. They will really like shred you to pieces if you don't have like really cultivated your personality. You can really like shape your own personality, and many pickup artists go wrong here. The point is not to make your personality this kind of a sly thing that appeals to women and you kind of try to make it so that you get what you want, but just that you can kind of try to learn that what kind of masculinity you want to be and strive towards the self-development that you want. For example, I found meditation is something that has greatly helped me with social skills, because that gives me the relaxed kind of thing that I can keep a better eye contact. I don't get like scared or anxious in a social situation, even if the other person is maybe putting on some pressure or something, which might be for a joke or might be for some other reason. Maybe they are trying to cockblock me or whatever. Then orienting yourself towards the highest possible good you can conceive. Well, like I told you, my personality is really like in a way interesting because politeness is exceptionally low. I'm the least polite person you find in 100 person in a room. I think I'm intelligent to kind of hide it, but I really am like, I'm really having really big problems in my life with political correctness, because for me, the highest value is truth. And I want to be able to study things I want to study, abstract ideas, science, etc. And I really see that this idea of political correctness comes in the way that I can't get to my truth if they shut me down. So I can't publicly ask these questions I need to answer to get to the truth of a lot of big questions. So for me, it's the truth, but like, just pick whatever. Like, if you don't know what highest value you should pick, you should think about it like in the movie Harry Potter, they have this Quidditch game. And there's a game inside the game. There's the golden ball. In your own life, just try to see that some things that you are really interested in, for example, me, it's women and it's politics and it's evolutionary psychology. They really like shine up around me. I'm really drawn to them. And I just follow them and try to cultivate the best knowledge I can get and really challenge my own ideas in many ways and do stuff like that. But like what I want to tell you is that you should try to climb up some dominance hierarchy in your life. Like someone might want to be a really good musician, someone might want to be a really good ping pong player, then that is really good for your own personality and your own self-growth. And I think to be a pickup artist is also good.
Did you know that I was actually good at both ping pong and musician? Like that was actually two things that I do.
Well, okay, I remember the ping pong from some of your videos.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, that's weird that you say that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then making the right sacrifices when bargaining with the future, because we don't have really much time, I just want to get this idea out, is that when you develop these skills, these social skills to get on with beautiful women, like I think that many people who morally oppose it, they kind of start from the idea that these skills are used to deceive people and get sex and then lie that you want something more. But I think that's I would even say that that's kind of like you're not really treating the woman in that mental picture fairly. Like women also want casual sex, and you don't have to use these skills to get casual sex anyway. Like you can just build yourself up so you can just marry the right girl. Like these are just skills, and when I teach them, it's your thing what you want to do with your morality, what you want to use these skills for. I would personally, I don't want to use anyone, and I don't even try to pick up anyone if I know that they have a boyfriend. Like, what's the use? Sometimes girls that have a boyfriend are actually easier to pick up in a bar, for example, if their boyfriend has had a fight with them that day or something. But I know that world is full of single women also, so why bother with that? I like the challenge anyway. So, sacrifices when bargaining with the future. You can make the sacrifice when you have a lot of opportunities to pick up women, and you sacrifice them all to pick the best women and make a family. Jordan Peterson was just talking about this in one video where he was talking about this Louis C.K. Me Too thing, and that it is a sacrifice that you would be able to have a lot of casual sex. You could be with many different girls, but you just sacrifice it all to be with the best girl and go to marry her and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any questions? I think...
Not really. I'm starting to I think get a better impression about what it's basically. It just sounds like social dating skills for men, which I can imagine various left-wing ideologues being opposed to, because the natural evolutionary psychology, the natural evolutionary ways in which humans have developed in order to mate and talk to each other, that feminism doesn't like that. Feminism is directly against how people actually are and what women are actually attracted to in men, and the ways in which men compete with each other. Feminism thinks that all of that is a sickness. So they would be naturally against this, and that's why I think it probably has the reputation that it does. Would you say that that's true?
You exactly hit the nail in the head. Like I a year ago, I didn't know enough about feminism and stuff to really put that together, but that is exactly it, I think.
Okay. Well, great. Do you so yeah, no, I think that this makes more sense to me now. Do you have any questions? You said that you wanted to ask me about maybe being gay real quick. I could just mention because I do have to go on the other stream. But but I can talk for about like 2 more minutes.
Okay, well, I have this question. This also comes to what you said in your video. You had this that I will be the first to agree that using somebody for sex is a bad thing to do. So is it also a bad thing to do when you do it with a gay guy?
Yes, if you're dishonest, okay, so when I say use, I don't mean trade. I mean use. So you know, if people, if you both, you know, not literally sign the contract, but if you both know what you're getting into, and all you're going to do is have sex, then nobody has any right to complain about that. And if somebody was dishonest and secretly wanted, you know, more, or is going to complain because they had a one-night stand with somebody when it was pretty clear it was supposed to be a one-night stand, that person is being immature and they're being dishonest, and that person is silly. There's very few gay men who are going to do that. Like, one of the things I found with gay men is that they're a lot more likely to if you reject a gay man entirely and you like won't have sex with him, that is going to offend him a lot more than if you have sex with him once and then decide to never go out with him again. Like, if you have sex with him one time, but then you don't want to go out with him again, you could become best friends after that. It's weird. But if you never have sex with him, sometimes he's just like gonna hate you. And I don't really know exactly what that's all about, but because I'm not really that way. Like if a guy I mean, maybe I was when I was younger, but I learned to get past it. Like I learned to accept rejection and learn that if a guy doesn't want to have sex with me, we could still be friends. But that's a unique thing between men, you know. Like
yeah,
men
definitely.
have,
It's completely opposite with women.
yeah. So yeah, you know, and I've actually been wanting to get into that whole dynamic of like why men are allowed that extra bit of leeway. But I really do got to go because I'm supposed to be there by 2 p.m. my time. So
Hey, great talk, and I would love to do this again. Like bunch of subjects. I really love your channel. You have a lot of integrity and good opinions, and I think you are in a right way, but that I like critical about stuff.
thank you. That's very kind of you to say, and you are more than welcome to mirror this on your channel. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.